DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
She got benched. She couldn't handle it. I want out. She's not playing well. She's getting criticized. I want out.
DeWanna Bonner was supposed to be the veteran anchor, a champion brought in to stabilize a young Indiana Fever squad during their most transformative season yet. But just 9 games into a high-stakes campaign, the same woman hailed as the locker room's steady hand vanished, first from the court, then from the roster, and finally from public view. No farewell post, no injury report, just silence. Now, after weeks of swirling questions, it's official. Bonner is out. Not traded, not injured, simply gone. And what's emerging in the aftermath is nothing short of stunning. The player once branded as a culture leader allegedly walked away because she didn't want to come off the bench. For fans who embraced her and a franchise trying to build around Caitlin Clark, this wasn't just a misfire, it felt like betrayal. Like, subscribe and comment. Good riddance, DB, if this saga exposed the cracks behind the Fever's hopeful narrative. Because what comes next might be the most important stretch of the season.
When DeWanna signed with the team, she said at this point in her career, she's playing for championships, and obviously have championship experience in those veterans they brought in. How much does that get to add to the culture or just what it takes to win at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, DB has been tremendous. Like, she's such a selfless leader. Like, she's here to win. She says that, but she like really means it.
When DeWanna Bonner signed with the Indiana Fever, it was framed as a masterstroke. A seasoned veteran with multiple All-Star appearances, WNBA championships, and the kind of playoff mileage most rosters beg for. Her arrival wasn't just about stats, it was about presence. The locker room needed a mentor, the court needed stability, and Caitlin Clark, despite her generational talent, needed someone who had already lived through the chaos of postseason basketball. Bonner was supposed to be that missing piece, the calm within the storm, the voice in the huddle when things got tight.
And also joining a team that's just impressive. I think everybody's seen the second half of their season, and it was an unbelievable season. And I just felt like they had a dynamic core, and I just wanted to be another puzzle piece into what they had. And hopefully I can give my knowledge, my leadership, and give it to, these young players. So when I retire, they can, pass it along. So I feel like they're young, but I also feel like they're a great young. They don't need too much coaching and too much leadership. They kind of figure it out themselves, and I'm just hoping that I can add to it and make basketball a little easier for them, and as well they can make it a little easier for me.
Her interviews during training camp painted a portrait of selflessness and resolve. She spoke of embracing a mentorship role, helping the younger players grow, and guiding Indiana towards something bigger than individual accolades. It wasn't hype, it felt authentic.
I guess to that point, how does this kind of compare to what you are used to?
Oh man, yeah, totally different atmosphere. The support here has been just phenomenal. I really can't go anywhere. I've been here like a week and a half, and everywhere I go, it's just like, we're excited for the season. Thank you for being here. So it's been really, really refreshing. And,
you get that on the streets?
I'm sorry?
You get that on the streets?
Yeah, everywhere. Everywhere I go, it's just, can't even go to the grocery store without someone saying how excited they are. So it's just been really refreshing.
Fans bought in immediately. Her jersey sold out. The applause rang louder every game, and the Fever looked poised to finally turn the page on their rebuilding phase. But behind the optimism, something was brewing, and no one saw it coming.
I don't know what Stephanie White's doing exactly. I don't have a clue. Again, I don't know what the identity of this team is. I really don't. It seems like they play a different way every game. One could say, well, that's her game plan. She's game planning for each team. How's that working out for you?
In the season's opening stretch, the energy around Bonner seemed electric. She smiled through press conferences, spoke highly of her teammates, and soaked up the love from Indiana fans who had waited years for a contender. For a moment, it looked like the perfect blend, experience meeting hunger, wisdom balancing youthful fire. But underneath the polished exterior, things began to unravel.
How is she doing? Is there any timeline for her return?
Yeah, she's doing well. She's doing well. Again, no timeline. I think it's day to day, and for us to just make sure that we're continuing to be supportive of DB.
Bonner's on-court performance took a sharp and unexpected downturn. Her scoring plummeted to just 7 points per game, less than half of her average from the season prior. Her once reliable shooting touch disappeared, and her defensive intensity faded. Critics and fans alike started asking uncomfortable questions. Was she struggling to keep up with the Fever's pace? Had age finally caught up to her? And perhaps most pointedly, was she actually a good fit for this roster at all? Coach Stephanie White's rotations came under fire as the team lacked consistency. No clear identity emerged. And while players like Clark were adjusting under the pressure of national scrutiny, Bonner, the one meant to guide them, began fading from view. The aura of leadership cracked, and it happened faster than anyone expected. Then came the silence. After just 9 appearances, DeWanna Bonner vanished from the Indiana Fever lineup. The team offered one vague explanation: personal reasons. No timetable, no clarification, no follow-up. And for a player of Bonner's stature, that absence raised immediate red flags.
Multiple league insiders are reporting to Annie Costabile, of course Annie Costabile is breaking this news, of Front Office Sports, that DeWanna Bonner has quote-unquote no interest in returning to the Indiana Fever, instead wanting to be in landing spots with either the Phoenix Mercury or the Atlanta Dream.
Initially, fans offered compassion. Many assumed a family emergency or private health issue had sidelined her, and the basketball community rallied behind her without question. But as games passed and she remained out, the silence grew louder. The team's social media made no mention. Bonner herself scrubbed her Instagram of any Fever-related content. Her jersey was reportedly pulled from the team's store, and fans began connecting the dots, wondering if this was truly a personal break or the early signs of an internal fracture. Coach White stayed vague, dodging direct answers in post-game interviews. And when asked about Bonner's return, she gave no details, only vague encouragement.
Obviously, there were reports today that DB doesn't intend to return to the team. Just what conversations have you had with her and with the front office about that?
Yeah, I had a lot of conversations recently, really been focused on the group that we have right here and what we need to do to position ourselves to win.
The lack of transparency from both the organization and Bonner's camp fueled suspicion. By then, the situation had morphed from mystery into a full-blown conspiracy. And what was about to leak next would send shockwaves across the league.
No comment is a comment. No explanation is an explanation. If we were trying to get back, we would have said, oh, we're trying to get back. We're trying to work some things out behind the scenes so both parties are satisfied moving forward. We don't even get that.
The speculation turned into confirmation when bombshell reports emerged from multiple league insiders. DeWanna Bonner, it was revealed, had no intention of returning to the Indiana Fever, not due to health, family, or recovery, but because she reportedly wanted out.
Multiple sources told Front Office Sports the fit in Indiana was off in the beginning. Bonner, who was signed to be an anchor to win with championship experience for the team's young core, was expected to be a starter. So basically, she stunk it up, got benched for Alexi, and was pissed. But it is what it is.
According to Front Office Sports, Bonner preferred a move to either the Phoenix Mercury or the Atlanta Dream. Just like that, the curtain was pulled back. The carefully constructed image of a veteran mentor collapsed in a single quote: she was done with Indiana. What made the revelation even more jarring was the silence that followed. Coach White didn't deny it. The front office gave no rebuttal. Bonner's agent? Nothing. In an era where misinformation is corrected within minutes, the refusal to address the rumors spoke volumes. If the reports were false, all it would have taken was a tweet to shut it down. Instead, that silence confirmed everything. Fever fans, who had been pleading for clarity, now felt duped. The player who promised to guide the team through its most crucial season had reportedly walked away and left the organization in chaos. But the full picture was still unraveling, and the next chapter cut even deeper.
She's on our team. We want to support her. Let's just give her some grace. And now we get some clarity on that situation. Now we get some understanding of that situation, and all of that grace can get thrown right out the window.
You have people fearing the worst for her family. You have people fearing the worst for everything. You have people saying that they hope everything's good with DeWanna Bonner. It turns out she apparently is just pissed off that she wasn't a starter.
With the truth exposed, the fan base's grief turned into fury. The narrative they had believed, that DeWanna Bonner was sidelined due to personal hardship, was ripped apart by reports of disinterest and disengagement. But what stung most wasn't just her departure. It was how she left. Multiple sources revealed that the moment Bonner was benched, she mentally checked out. Not only did she remove herself from the lineup, but she also disappeared from team activities, skipped games, and reportedly gave no support from sidelines. No presence in huddles. No guidance from the bench. Just absence. For a young roster still finding its footing, losing a mentor in the heat of a playoff hunt wasn't just a setback, it was a gut punch.
He posted it during the game at like midnight or at like 11 p.m. At like 11 p.m.
Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi Hull were thrust into even more pressure, while the one veteran voice they were supposed to rely on evaporated. The leadership Bonner had preached about during training camp seemed hollow now. Fans who once defended her during the early games now felt betrayed. They hadn't just lost a player, they'd been misled by one. And with emotions high, a new, more personal layer of drama began to emerge. As details continued leaking, it became clear that Bonner's exit wasn't just about playing time or performance. Whispers from league insiders hinted at deeper issues festering behind the scenes, issues that began long before the benching. Reports suggested that on-court chemistry was rocky from the start. Bonner's production had fallen off a cliff, but insiders claimed the real friction stemmed from personality clashes, misaligned expectations, and perhaps even off-court distractions.
You guys remember what Alyssa Thomas said about the Indiana Fever fan base last year? And all the things that she heard coming from this fan base last year? That's off. You guys remember what Alyssa Thomas said about the Angel Reese Chicago Sky sham investigation, right? Oh, if Angel says she heard it, then we believe that she heard it. That's off, right? Right.
The rumors took another twist when fans recalled past controversies involving her partner, Alyssa Thomas, a player who had previously stirred backlash for inflammatory comments about Indiana's fan base. Suddenly, questions emerged about whether personal dynamics may have influenced Bonner's disengagement. Was this exit truly about basketball, or did deeper resentment play a role? And was the Fever's front office aware of the tension brewing all along? One thing was certain, the dream scenario had become a slow-motion disaster. Bonner's legacy as a future Hall of Famer wasn't in question, but her commitment to this team very much was. With the locker room fractured and trust eroded, the Fever were left with a difficult decision, and they didn't wait long to act.
She got benched, she couldn't handle it, I want out. She's not playing well, she's getting criticized, I want out.
The Indiana Fever wasted no time. Within 24 hours of the reports confirming Bonner's disinterest, the front office made the decision that had been quietly brewing for weeks. DeWanna Bonner was gone. Not traded for value, not placed on a return-to-play timeline, simply waived. The move was swift, decisive, and for many, long overdue.
This opens up a lot for the Indiana Fever, as well as them having to scramble for what they're going to do next. Because, as I'm sure many of you know, Demiris Dantas, who is she is part of the front court of the Indiana Fever. She will be gone from the team after tonight's game against the Seattle Storm.
With her max contract off the books, the Fever instantly freed up valuable cap space. But this wasn't just a numbers move, it was a culture reset. Her departure sent a message. No matter how big the name, the team would no longer tolerate half-hearted commitment. And while some feared the loss of leadership, others saw new energy rushing in. The Fever quickly added Ari McDonald, a spark plug guard known for tempo, defense, and heart. The message was clear. The team wanted speed, urgency, and accountability. Veteran leadership wasn't erased either. Natasha Howard and Sydney Colson remained as vocal leaders, now without the weight of Bonner's shadow. The Fever didn't just subtract a player, they restored control of their identity. But in the aftermath of the shakeup, one player stood at the center of it all, forced to deal with the emotional toll in silence.
Nonetheless, Caitlin Clark continues to struggle. One of the worst games of her career, if not the worst game of her career against the Storm. I don't even think she had the playmaking prowess that she had in the first half against the Aces or the Valkyries. Still wound up with 9 assists, 8 turnovers though, 0 of 6 from 3.
When DeWanna Bonner walked away, she didn't just leave a roster spot vacant, she left Caitlin Clark holding the emotional wreckage of a fractured team. Clark, already carrying the weight of record-breaking media attention and the burden of turning around a franchise, suddenly found herself without the veteran she was told would guide her. Her recent performances reflected the toll. Against the Seattle Storm, Clark recorded one of her worst outings of the season. 0 made threes, 8 turnovers, and a visibly dimmed fire. Social media buzzed with concern, not over stats, but over body language. The sparkle that defined her competitive spirit seemed dimmer. Fans who once celebrated the Bonner-Clark partnership were now left questioning whether the leadership promised was ever real.
I think for the challenge for myself going forward is just, continue to pour into every other aspect of the game, and I can continue to have an impact in, all those other areas. I thought I got to the rim well. It was just, certainly a tough shooting night, and, you got to find a way to continue to shoot and remain confident in myself, because I know I put the time in. But for me, I don't feel like it's, anything that's off necessarily, but it'd be nice.
The emotional weight of betrayal doesn't show up in box scores, but it can derail momentum in ways that analytics can't track. Now, with Bonner gone, the Fever are being forced into a mid-season reset. Yet, in that reset lies possibility. If this team regains its identity, finds rhythm, and rallies behind its true core, the absence of Bonner might turn out to be the spark they didn't know they needed. Sometimes subtraction really is addition.
DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play. DeWanna Bonner is an absolute legend. And this is one of the lowest of the low things that I've seen in sports.
In the end, the DeWanna Bonner saga may go down as one of the most unexpected implosions of the WNBA season. A future Hall of Famer brought in to lead, only to vanish when the role demanded sacrifice. What began as a promise of mentorship ended in silence, confusion, and ultimately disappointment. But for the Indiana Fever, this isn't just about a lost player. It's about discovering who they are without the illusion of veteran security. The departure lifted a shadow, opened a roster slot, and clarified the direction this team must take. Caitlin Clark, once surrounded by uncertainty, now stands at the center of a locker room that can finally define itself without distraction. With a tighter unit, a clearer identity, and younger players rising to the occasion, the Fever may have just undergone the mid-season cleanse they didn't even realize they needed. In hindsight, it's not the stars who define a team, it's the ones who stay through the storm. And if this young squad embraces that, the fallout from Bonner's departure might be remembered not as a collapse, but as the beginning of something real. Comment, "Good riddance DB," if this story proved that character matters more than clout. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications, because the second half of the Fever's season is about to get a whole lot more interesting.